RC, whose actual name is Rachel, but when I hired her, I said there can only be one of us. So we literally changed her name to RC. That sounds like Devil Wears Prada.
You're unrelatable. What is it about me that made you think I want to be relatable?
And I don't know if this is something you can reveal or not, but is it true, this is another thing I heard, is it true that the person who was let go was a woman of color?
Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Blanca and I create videos revolving around motherhood, military, and anti-MLM content. If any of those topics are of any interest to you, then definitely hit the red subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you're notified anytime I post a new video. Today's video, I had no intentions of filming, but yesterday a bombshell of a video dropped, and that is from Savy Writes Books. She interviewed an ex-Hollis employee, and let me tell you, the tea was hot in that video. I already started the conversation on my TikTok, which is Blanca_Perdomo. I will also have it for you up in the screen. It's just been booming there with the whole Rachel Hollis scandal, and I've met phenomenal people because of it, such as Heather the lawyer. She also is in Savy's video, which is just amazing. Kudos to you and congratulations to you, Heather. Give her a follow. She just gives a whole different perspective about the situation. She is a lawyer and an ex-Hollis fan, so the perspective that she provides and brings to the table is just very interesting, so definitely give her a follow on TikTok. This employee just started talking about like the work culture and the whole positivity thing that Rachel Hollis is known for, or as we all call it, toxic positivity, and in my case, fake positivity. She stated that they would start off their Monday mornings. I don't know if this was regularly, but it was frequent enough that this ex-employee stated they would start off their Monday mornings with like a random dance party. And granted, if you're celebrating some sort of achievement or, you know, just want to have a little celebration, that is totally fine. But if you're just having a random dance party in the middle of like the day or starting off your day like that, that just seems kind of weird, and not a lot of people thrive in that type of environment. Some people just want to be left alone, do their work, and then go home. But according to the ex-employee, she stated that a lot of people felt pressured into joining these dance parties. It was kind of the mentality of wanting to be a part of the team versus not wanting to participate, and a lot of them did feel uncomfortable but felt forced into doing it. She also mentioned that there was sort of like an in crowd and it was very cliquey. You could see that even in the Glassdoor reviews that were on the Hollis page, where a lot of them were saying that there was a lot of nepotism, a lot of favoritism.
Surprising way to frame someone who's a professional.
Yeah, especially if you, valued them to raise them to that level. But I think that was kind of just a testament that because she liked her and she saw her growing, she gave her these opportunities where she might not have had, you know, even in that video, she was saying, I didn't know how to build a website, so I had to learn all this stuff quickly. While
a lot of people in the management positions were either her friends or referrals and not necessarily qualified to do the job or position that they were assigned to. And that's another point that the ex-employee brings up, is the fact that a lot of the employees were shifted around to doing different tasks or were assigned different assignments that they necessarily did not know how to do. There's actually a specific clip in where one employee at the Hollis Company stated that she started off doing like, what was it, like social media, market manager. She was just doing a bunch of different positions, and Rachel would just switch them off and like assign her to do different things. One of them was actually to design a website.
I went from a social media coordinator to the marketing manager to brand partnerships to honestly, you name it, I did it. This is my favorite thing about Rachel, is she's like, I have an idea. And so I just grab my paper and my pen and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Whatever you want to do, we'll do it. Build a new website, all the things. She's like, oh no, you can do it. You know, you can build a website. It's fine. I'm like, great, I'm gonna learn how to code. I'm gonna get with the developer and do all the things.
And she had no idea on how to do that. But somehow Rachel decided that she was the person to build a website and do that when she actually had people that had the knowledge and were qualified to do so. In my opinion, that is a very inefficient way to run your business or to run anything, because if I don't know how to do something, I'm going to outsource that job to an expert or to somebody that knows how to do that job. I'm not going to give it to somebody that doesn't know. If that was the case, I would learn how to do it and do it myself instead of just finding another person to do it. It just makes a lot more work, creates more work, and it's unnecessary. Another point that the ex-employee brings up is the fact that not many of the employees felt comfortable enough just disclosing different things, such as in her instance, she felt comfortable enough to come out to Savy and say that she was part of the LGBT community, just because that wouldn't kind of identify her with the Hollis Company, because nobody there knew that she was a part of the LGBT community, because she didn't feel comfortable enough to say that she was, even though there was a person in that company that was openly gay. So that tells you a lot about the work culture and the work environment.
You felt like you had to be like part of the in crowd in order to be out or to be yourself or to truly like be the person you are in full. I wonder like more what you meant by that, and if there were examples of why you think you or other employees might have felt uncomfortable.
For me, like a piece of it is just like my perception of certain things, but even sharing some personal things with the company, it just to some people it didn't feel like you're kind of just wasting time. Like, cool, great, on to the next person.
In regards to the diversity, she does bring up a point in where, you know, the whole Dr. Maya Angelou scandal, where Rachel Hollis plagiarized her words and thought that would be a bright idea to do. Didn't give her any credit and decided to have these diversity trainings where it would be about 2 hours long, and they would discuss a lot of violent acts and points in history that happened to the Black community, such as the Tulsa Massacre, the Civil Rights Movement, and things that were of that nature and very egregious, and just expected her workers to go back to work as if they didn't have this 2-hour training where they just saw a bunch of violence against their own people and their own community. That to me doesn't seem to promote having a good productivity. I mean, I don't know where she thought that having these trainings in the smack middle of the day would be a good idea for her Black employees to go through. If anything, she was the one that needed the diversity training, not so much her Black employees, but that's just my opinion. Something to know about these diversity trainings is the fact that in the interview, the ex-employee stated that it was very triggering to the Black employees, and rightfully so.
Some of my friends who are people of color who were working there, it was very triggering to have, I think it was like 2 hours, it was over an hour thing that we did every day, to have that in the middle of the day and just be reminded of, hey, the Tulsa massacres, all the civil rights movement, and all of these terrible tragic things have happened. Let's get back to work and have other meetings.
In regards to the diversity training, you would think that this would be an opportunity for the Black employees to kind of voice their thoughts and opinions about the whole situation, especially coming from the Dr. Maya Angelou scandal. But no, this was not afforded to them, and this is a reoccurring issue in the Hollis Company, as we will find out as to what actually happened after the Dr. Maya Angelou scandal. As we all know, Rachel Hollis did plagiarize Dr. Maya Angelou's words, "Still I Rise," in order to sell her conference tickets that was being held last year in 2020. This was a huge scandal publicly. But as far as her employees were aware, it was not a scandal whatsoever. As this ex-employee said, well, can we give this ex-employee a name? I think we're gonna name her Holly, okay? Holly stated that the majority of her staff did not know and were not aware of this scandal, either because they didn't follow Rachel on Instagram, worked in different departments, or my personal favorite, she didn't even bother to fucking address it with her own employees. The fucking audacity. Holly also mentioned that she didn't even know the social media manager had been fired until a week after the social media manager had left. Again, it's the lack of transparency and the communication that she has with her employees. For me, if you don't have a line of communication with your employees or any sort of transparency, how the hell are they supposed to trust you and look up to you as a leader? I mean, this team gets thrown under the bus consistently every single time she is in a scandal. Dr. Maya Angelou, it was my team's fault. Oh, comparing myself to Harriet Tubman, Oprah Winfrey, Amelia Earhart, Frida Kahlo, who was the other? Wu Zetian? Yeah, that was my team's fault. Even though those words and that comparison, I made them myself and came out of my own mouth. To think that a leader would throw her own team under the bus. A leader does not do that. A leader actually takes fault, takes the blame for something that their employee did, even though they didn't even do it. That's what a leader does. It was also mentioned in the video that some of the managers went up to specifically Black employees and asked about their thoughts and opinions in regards to the post that Rachel Hollis had posted on her Instagram.
So, like, some of their specific managers were asking them certain things, like how do they feel about it. The way that it was even presented was kind of like, you're fine with this, right?
So these managers came up to their Black employees specifically and asked them how they felt about the Rachel Hollis post that she had posted on Instagram. And it wasn't something like, oh, how do you feel? What are your thoughts and your opinions about it? It was more along the lines of, you're okay with it, right? You see no problems with it. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that. That is extremely problematic. You plagiarized a woman's work, and not just any woman's work. Dr. Maya Angelou's work, a woman of color, which will be a greater significance when we discuss who the social media manager was, or at least her race, because that is extremely, like, it shouldn't have shocked me, but it did.
I don't know if this is something you can reveal or not, but is it true, this is another thing I heard, is it true that the person who was let go was a woman of color?
That is something that I can confirm. I think that person did also post about it.
Okay.
But yes.
As you heard, the social media manager that Rachel Hollis fired over her own mistake was Black, was a woman of color. And that just makes her TikTok video that she posted, what, 2.5 weeks ago, even more egregious and horrible, because she decided to compare herself to the likes of Harriet Tubman, RBG, Frida Kahlo, Oprah Winfrey, Amelia Earhart, who was the other one? Wu Zetian. Like, women who have done great things in spite of the obstacles that were in front of them, whether that was their gender, their race, their ethnicities. I mean, hello, Malala got shot in the head for going to school. Harriet Tubman was born into slavery and freed other slaves. Like, what have you done, Rachel Hollis, that would even amount to 1/4 of what these women have done? And the fact that you fired a Black woman over your own mistake for plagiarizing another Black woman's work, girl, your racism is showing. It is shining brighter than a freaking diamond. As per Holly, the ex-employee, she not only did not take accountability for it publicly, but not even in her own company. She didn't even address it. At least according to her, it wasn't addressed in like a small setting with the employees. It might have been addressed, I guess, with upper management. But according to her, Rachel did not even consider the decency or even bother to say, hey, I totally messed up by posting this and plagiarizing Dr. Maya Angelou's words. It will never happen again. I'm going to do some sort of training, blah, blah, blah. But no, she didn't feel the need to do that. Shocking. The last topic that we're going to discuss from the interview was the fact that the Hollis Company did take out a PPP loan last year. I don't know that if I discussed it in my previous video about Rachel Hollis, but I know that I do have a TikTok video where I go in more depth. Long story short, the Hollis Company took out a PPP loan for almost $1 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, almost $1 million. It was like $998,000 worth of PPP loans. Why? I digress. It shows also on the website Prolifica where you can find this because it is public records. And the reason why I became aware of this was because Heather the lawyer actually did a TikTok where she discussed the fact that this was brought up to her attention that the Hollis Company did take out a PPP loan. They broke it down as they were paying two things: utilities, closer to $250,000, and then payroll was closer to $800,000. But the significant part for that is the fact that she reported last year that she had 67 employees. That is important because in her apology after this TikTok viral scandal that she had, she posted that she was running a company about 25 employees. So she obviously fired people. In Heather the Lawyer's TikTok video, she goes over the parameters and the stipulations about the PPP loan, and it defines the fact that an employer cannot fire any employees within a defined period, and that period is of 8 weeks. Keep that in mind, because she didn't fire anybody, of course, within those 8 weeks and when she received those PPP loan, which was around April, May. The firing and the layoff started in October of 2020. And in Savy's video, we do have an audio about how she went about firing these people and what she said to them. Due to the panorama, I mean, I understand that it has to be done through Zoom calls and emails, but the way that she went about it, in my opinion, was highly insensitive, very manipulative, and definitely unprofessional across the board.
You know, for those of you who are with us back in March, I stood in front of you and I said that we would fight with everything we know how to do. The most of our revenue comes from live events, and we have pivoted and pushed and tried everything, but we can't continue to hold a staff at this size without being able to do events. I want you to know that I've tried. Sorry. Everything.
That audio just left me speechless. Speechless, because what kind of boss cries while firing you? That is not the norm. There is no boss, leader, or employer that will cry while firing you. They will be sensitive to the situation and will be understanding, but they're not gonna cry as they're telling you, hey, don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you. No employer does that. In my opinion, she was just being very manipulative. She was taking a situation that wasn't about her and made it about herself. This wasn't about you, Rachel Hollis, or your stupid feelings and how you felt and how you perceived things. No, this is about your employees being fired because you can't keep a company of 67 people. Whatever, right? And the fact that they no longer now have a job in order to pay their bills, eat, live. You still get to be Rachel Hollis, get to live in your mansion, get to keep your millions, and you want them to feel bad for you? Beyond my comprehension. No puedo entender. Like, in regards to the situation, Holly mentioned that there were employees, including herself, that were fired immediately. They were told that they needed to hand their things in by 5 p.m. They no longer had access to their work emails or their equipment or anything that belonged to the Hollis Company, which totally understand. But how are you going to let an employee know that they're fired, like laid off right then and there? Like, I'm pretty sure there's a protocol and procedures to this whole situation. But she did make a note that other employees were given time to hand in their equipment, finish any other projects that were outstanding, etc. So this is where the nepotism and favoritism comes into play yet again. How is it that some employees get to have time to hand in things, collect whatever they need to collect, do whatever they need to finish up, but other employees were fired immediately and it was like a good riddance. See ya, bye, don't need you anymore. The last thing that I want to know about the firing and the PPP loans is the fact that within the audio that you guys heard as well, Rachel states that we're going to be here for you. I'm going to help you. We're going to help you find the next job. I'm paraphrasing here, but she said something along the lines that we're going to help you. Holly, the ex-employee, has yet to hear from Rachel Hollis since she's been fired. She has not shown her face, has not followed up with her ever since. However, she did mention that the HR company, or the department I should say, did follow up with her. And she herself stated that she doesn't need you know, Rachel Hollis to follow up with her. But if you're going to say something like, I'm going to help you, or promise that you're going to help them find the next job, or give them a reference letter, or whatever, at least follow through with that promise. But we all know that she can't even do that. Something that I do want to make a note of is the fact that another Rachel Hollis ex-employee is coming out with a book titled My Life with the Mogul, The True Price of Meeting Your Hero. It is fiction, of course. The only thing is that we have to wait until the summer because that's when the book will be released, but you can pre-order it right now. She does have a podcast. I think it's called Glow Theory. I will have it right here for you as well. And yeah, it is promising to be a very, very hot book, just because although it's fiction, it's based off of experience that she had with working in the personal development world. And I'm going to read you guys the description for the book. My Life with the Mogul is a fictional story based on my experiences working in the personal development industry. I was inspired by the learnings and reflections that I have had during this season and created something that I'm really proud of. My name might be on the cover, but the story is not unique to me. It's simply shedding light on the shared experiences that so many of us have. In a world run by social media, it's hard to ever really know what, or more importantly, who is real. My Life with the Mogul releases summer 2021. And it's interesting that Noelle Crooks is coming out with a book like this just because Rachel Hollis started off writing, allegedly, her books based on her experiences. I believe it was at Miramax, and the book was titled Party Girl. In the words of Heather the Lawyer, it was very much Devil Wears Prada, just a little bit more tamed. So everything is just coming to full circles for Rachel Hollis here. For those of you who don't know, and I being in the same boat because I did not know this until Heather the Lawyer made a point in her TikTok video discussing this, early on in her career, Rachel Hollis got a tattoo of the word mogul. And she got this, I think, around the time when she went to a Tony Robbins conference. And she got that word tattooed onto her body, and she wanted to be that word. She was kind of like manifesting it. So the fact that this book is titled My Life with the Mogul, albeit it is fiction, and it's very telling of what the book's premises and inspiration is and will be about. Once again, I highly recommend that you watch Savy's video. That interview was just amazing. It was perfectly done, and she definitely went about interviewing this ex-employee the best way possible, kept her anonymous, even though she did come out as, well, not come out, but like she identified herself as a person that belongs to the LGBT community because she knew that that wasn't going to be a marker for Rachel Hollis to identify her, which in and of itself is very telling about the work environment and the work culture that was in the Hollis Company. I mean, this interview just revealed a lot of things. It confirmed a lot of the rumors and a lot of speculations that were going around, and it just makes Rachel Hollis look 10 times worse if that was even remotely possible. But it did. Kudos to you, Savy, for doing a great interview, and thank you to the Rachel Hollis or ex-Rachel Hollis employee for giving this interview. It definitely gave a whole different perspective. Let me know in the comment section below what were some of the points in the interview that you found to be very problematic or that stuck out to you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!
I'm the bad